Hi guys, it's Suga and welcome back to another review. Today I'll be reviewing How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by I always stumble with the name. Django Wexler? I hope I say it correctly. I got this arc on NetGalley and I got also the audiobook, and I was like, I first read it a little bit as an ebook and I was really enjoyed, but then I left it out, was a soft DNF, and I come back to audiobook and I had a blast. A lot of negative reviews, but I will give you my honest opinion. As you always know, our opinions are always honest, so here we go. So, How to Become a Dark Lord and Die Trying. You follow Davi, who is a human woman, that falls into this fantasy world 1,000 years ago. So, she wakes up one day and she's becoming on a pool. She always wakes up the same way. On the pool, and there comes this wizard who says she's become destined to saving the kingdom from the Dark Lord. So for 1,000 years, and I don't know how countless lives, she's becoming the hero trying to defeat the Dark Lord and died. And each time that she died, for more horrific that she is, she's wake up on the same time. So she's on a bit of a time loop. And so she's got a bit frustrated because she had horrendous, she had the horrific that she could imagine, everything. So you start the book with her actually dying. So she was captured by the Dark Lord in that iteration, and she's get punished, and she dies. So when she's woke up, she's like, no, I'm done with this, and I don't care. I will become the Dark Lord. It's no point. If I'm gonna die every time, after 1,000 times, I could not win this, I will become the Dark Lord, and I will solve this, and then I will not die. So we can get the adventure of she's becoming the Dark Lord. Now, she's a human, but the Wilders, as they say, are the creatures that fought with the Dark Lord. So we have ogres, stonemans, creatures how do I explain? Furries, I would say, like this. Imagine half person, half animal, but the animal is like a tail, or the ears, something very not. I don't see everything as very animalistic, but more like a simulation like that. Well, and she starts to doing that, but of course she never done it, so she has to go a little bit of a learning curve. How she convinced the first Wilders to accept her, and she died, and several times, but then she continues with the story throughout the first book. And what I think is her humor, for me, it's amazing. I really like Davi as a character because she's not perfect. She's never said she will be perfect. She will be snarky, she will be ironic, she will play with things like, oh, I don't care. Because what I think most people say is they have a lot of problems. And for example, Davi from the beginning, she's what you say is a bisexual woman. I don't know if she's only bisexual, because, she goes either way. Anything that makes her excited, she goes for it. So she's not in labels, and she plays with things a little bit on, oh, I go to this, I go to that. But for me, I see most people complaining, and I understand the complaining of usually media portrays bisexual people as very promiscuous, cheaters, and things like that, and I totally agree with that. As having a bisexual boyfriend, that's definitely not the case. But for here, I see a different perspective, because she's been dying for 1,000 years. She's she knows everything doesn't have a consequence for her, because if she dies, it gets rebooted, no one gets hurt, people that she killed get revived, people that she cheated, they don't remember. So I think for her, a little bit of humanity was lost, and a little bit of, she's a bit numb on those aspects of personal. And later in the book, and especially on the second book, she gets redeemed about that. She gets more into context of what it seems. You see a big evolution from Davi from the beginning, from Davi towards the end of book 1 and 2. And so for me, I see that as a different perspective, because when you are in this life, we get one chance. If you believe in reborning or not, up to you, but you don't remember. The problem is she remembers everything that happens, and she starts forgetting things about humans, but not completely. And that was another thing that people get very bothered. Like, she's there 1,000 years and she makes references to movies and things like that. We don't know how long or how new she was in this world. So I imagine the book was released like in 2021, 2022, let's imagine, but she was sent in 2019. Now, in all aspects of transversing worlds, if you see, I'll give you the example of Digimon. It's a perfect example for this. The example of Digimon. When the Digidestinies go to the digital world, they spend their days, months. But when they return the first time, or Tai, I think Tai is the first one to return, it only passed like the same day. So time has not passed because different worlds may have different times. And this is the thing. For me, Davi says that she's been there for 1,000 years. Doesn't mean that she was in Earth like in 1985. No, she could be in the 2020s and she was transported and she stayed there, but doesn't mean this stopped. And of course, she may lost memories, aspects of herself, but sometimes even us, we don't remember all, but then there are certain phrases and certain aspects and certain quotes that stay in brain in us, even years later. So I see that, and I really enjoy it. For me, it was a very good book. It was very exciting to hear. The audiobook is very well narrated, like the sarcastic comments, the attitude of Davi. There's exactly how I suspect I see her. I really enjoy that. Towards the end, it's a very stake high book. You get a revelation that is like, oh my god, how is this gonna go? And then when it goes, I was like, yeah. Because I was very frustrated when that happened. There is a scene that happened towards the end. It's like half an hour to the end. I was like, what? No! This is... No! And then when you go, and I was like, okay. Whoo! Because I was like, no way. No, the author did not do this, and he didn't, but I was like, oh my god, this is bad. But I really enjoy all the side characters because they have very distinct personalities and they have their moments to shine and they have their relationships, and you see that it's not that different, and it creates this narrative of the wilders are not very different from the humans when you get to know them, and the interconnections of all the tribes and things like that. It's very similar to what we would expect of humans and countries and things like that. And I think Davi, for more fault that she has, she grows with the story and she starts to connect and starts to understand what is at stake. When she has that moment, she goes a little bit of a breakdown, and that's the moment when she realizes that what is at stake there. Because let's be honest, we're never confronted to that. But what would you do if you know that if you die, you just respawn in the same spot, and you wouldn't care? You don't have on the points we see her, she gets frustrated by the progress she may lose, but at the same time you understand, because it's like she will respond. She will spawn at the beginning, she will continue the journey, she will retry again, and no one gets hurt. But for us it's very hard. For me, I feel like some people may have limitations with that, but I don't feel that. I feel like it makes sense towards the character that it's in the world that was created. For me, it makes sense. And the point of her being promiscuous, I think, after 1,000 years of doing things like that and knowing that she's actively dying, I think all things go above and the evolution. And I'm not gonna say like it's a perfect written character. It's not, definitely, and you could say people might like it or not, but for me it creates a nuanced character, and he has different opinions and different aspects. And to say, oh, not all bisexual people are like this, that's true, but there's also the point that some people are like that. Bisexual, straight, gay, pan, whatever. Like, we are spectrums, and on those spectrums we have all different people. So it's another, you could say, a negative portrait, but I think it's a very different perspective. It's not like she's in this world with one life. It's a very different aspect. It's more of the time loop that I think it concerns and changes the perspective that she has, because I don't think in her life normally she would do that, because it would have one life. So I think the perspective that you put in is different than when we have here on One World. I think that's, for me, the difference and how I perceive that she would change and think. So yeah, I really recommend, if you go to give it a try, to be honest and to go with an open mind. The beginning is a bit, it's a bit slow, and she will go, but it grows on you and it will continue, and how she tricks and how she explains the plan. I think the audiobook is very well done in that point, because it explains very well how she plots and how she thinks. It's brilliant in that aspect. I hope you guys give it a try and comment if you are willing to go, if I convince you. I would love to hear that. Leave a like, subscribe if you like my reviews, and if you want to continue to see my reviews of other books. I be posting twice a week, and plus the shorts. Be aware of my shorts. I have content there that is different, recommendations, things like that. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I see you guys on my next book, on my next review. Okay, bye.